Thanks for visiting me today. This is Cindy Beach from Stamps, Paper, and Ink. I can't wait to show you how I made a watercolor background using a resist process for this card. It's easier than you think, and I love the fact that you can make whatever color background you like that goes with the mood of what you're making. So to start with, I used a piece of watercolor paper. It's cut 4 1/4 to 5 1/2 to fit on a card front. And I've used the images from the Flowering Flourishes set, which I've taken 2 images and put them close to each other. And then I proceeded to ink them up and use them on different corners of my cardstock with Versamark ink, and I embossed them using clear embossing powder. And now that's fully dry, I want to show you the rest of the steps for this process. And first thing you need to do is make sure you're working on a space you don't mind getting wet. This is messy. I love messy and ink and being able to create like this. So you have a space, you decide on your colors. My colors for today that I'm using are So Saffron, Pumpkin Pie, and Strawberry Slush, and I really love that combination. You'll notice I'm using sponges. My sponges have been used in other colors. I don't do like some people do and keep them color-coded. I just use them, and when I've finished, I wash them in hot water, a little bit of soap, dish soap, and hot water, and rinse them thoroughly and dry them. And the heat from that hot water, this is just a little free tip, sets the ink so that they really don't bleed. Now these have been just used, so I wouldn't show you, but I can show you on this one. It has a dark color, and it's not bleeding at all there. And when they get too stained, then I throw them away and start over. Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to use a spritzer. And again, I have the textured paper with the embossed flowers on it. And I'm going to take my paper and pretty much soak it with the mister. And then what I'm going to do is begin to add colors just lightly. Start with a light color first. Put a light layer of that over your paper. And you can see how wet it is. There's a hair that got in there. Want that out. You don't want to use ink in every spot. What you want to do is concentrate colors in certain areas. My main color will be the saffron, but then I will use pumpkin to fill in, and I will use the strawberry slush for accents. When your surface gets dry, you might need to spritz it again or do that a little bit in between colors. And the fun thing about this is you can use one color and then go back and decide you need a little more of something else. Okay, so this is Pumpkin Pie, and it's much easier to go light and then add more later. But mostly what I'm doing is dabbing it on here, and I want to be able to see it begin to run. Always I have tissues handy because it's a lot easier to just take off a little color once it's on there. You want to make sure it's easier to add color than it is to take them off, but you can dab at it and that helps the blending a little bit. Okay, so that's just a very light beginning. I'm going to go through and add a little more. And again, you can see how I'm adding the pumpkin pie in layers. I want both colors to be visible. Spritz it again. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's like playing with a mud pie. You get it till it looks how you want it. Okay, now I really love the strawberry slush, but if I kept putting this everywhere, it would make it just a huge mud puddle. But I am going to add it to specific areas where I want it, and I'm going to make sure I'm adding enough so that it really does let some of the details of the flower stand out. Still have that hair on there. And again, you can go back in, you can blend it out a little bit. I definitely want to come in from the edges with it. And you just keep working at it. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm liking that. I'm trying to go in and now blend those bits of strawberry slush into the other colors. And now I can go back and add some more depth as needed. One thing I want is to make sure the edges are nice and strong. So I'm going over pumpkin pie there. And it's just bringing out the highlights. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I want a spot right there on that flower. And you know what? It's going to look differently when it dries anyway. But that's about my piece. When it dries, it will get somewhat lighter, and it will also get a more blended look. And it's just so much fun to see that process happen. Here's one that is dry, and when it is completely dry, I didn't really finish this one. It wasn't highlighted as much as I wanted. But when you're finished, you go off and use your tissue, and you make sure you wipe off the embossed parts so that they don't have ink on them. And that's it. You've noticed that my paper's curled a little bit, so I will, when it's completely dry, maybe put it between two books to flatten it, and I will definitely attach it to the card front using sticky strip. For this card, I also did a little sponging on this Chalk Talk framelit. It was also watercolor paper, and I sponged it with a little bit of saffron and orange. So there you have it. It's a great technique. Enjoy it. I hope I've sparked your creativity with this project. Go out and make something beautiful. Thanks for visiting. This is Cindy Beach at Stamps, Paper, and Ink.